Whether you're Team Elsa or Team Moana, we have a royal treat of a podcast for you today. I'm Amit Power.
What do onions, mince pies, and Marmite have to do with regional anesthesia? Keep listening to find out. I'm Jeff Gadsden.
And this is Block It Like It's Hot. Jeff, I can't believe it. We've actually done it. We're here now. We're here.
Yeah, I it's been a while since we've been talking about this, but it thankfully has all come together.
So, listen, what I've got to try and work out is, am I talking to you? Are you talking to me? Is anyone actually listening to us? I haven't quite worked out how this whole podcast thing works. So are we talking to each other as if we're just speaking on the phone?
It's hard to say how many listeners we're having at this exact moment, but yeah, I think we're just, imagine I'm in your living room.
Okay, I can do that. I can do that. Well, listen, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, what did you think of the music?
Oh, listen, I'm a hip hop fan, and I love this music. It kind of reminds me of something, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. But you know what? We've got to give a shout out to our music producer, Natback, who's come all the way from Venezuela, who composed that piece of music for us. But it's also missing something. I mean, I don't know. Do you think it's missing a vital piece of equipment?
I think that we have to rap at the end of.
See, now the problem is you demonstrated. Well, you've shown that you've got the skills with rapping, but you've got no idea what my rap ability is like.
I have faith. I have faith that you know, with that voice, you can just freestyle rap this whole thing.
Okay, look, well, maybe for the season finale, maybe at the end of it, we'll get something together. But the first thing we need to establish is who's Snoop and who's Pharrell, because, of course, that's what you're talking about.
Now, how about this logo? How cool is our logo?
It's pretty cool. You know what I thought would be a good idea is to see if we could have a competition towards the end to see if people could work out where the ultrasound, what the ultrasound image is. But you know, we got that design from a chap called Azim Anjum, and he designed that after giving a bit of inspiration. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm happy you like that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Now, listen, hold on a minute. You're talking about designs, and what our listeners, of course, won't realise is that you and I can see each other, and they unfortunately can't see each other. There's something about the design of your T-shirt that I just need a bit of clarification on. As I'm looking across at you, it looks like it says "Last Christmas," which makes me think that you need to tell me, is that a Wham shirt you're wearing?
Yeah, yes, it is. Listen, I have a little bit of what you might call a Christmas problem. My wife Corey and I have this ongoing discussion every year about when I can start playing Christmas music, and apparently September is quote unquote too early. But but you know, now that we're here, I'm representing with this ode to one of my favorite songs, Last Christmas. And honestly, everyone needs a little more George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley in their lives. Am I right?
Well, I'm not quite sure I'd go that far, but you know, I love Christmas too. There's something magical about that time of year. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, totally. And you know, listen, speaking to Chris, I am jealous that you have ready access to mince pies. You just can't get a good mince pie over here in the US.
Really?
No, man.
Well, you know, I was speaking to an American just the other day, and he was telling me that it told me a fact that I didn't realize, which is that most of your pies are sweet over there, and you don't have any savory pies. Is that true? You don't have like a chicken and mushroom pie? That's something that you guys don't have in the States?
No, they're hard to get. Yeah, no, you say pie, and most people think apple, blueberry,
right?
You know, cherry pie. It's not. Yeah, a good savory pie is. When I lived in Australia, that was a real thing. Go down to the corner for a pie.
Wow. But, okay. Yeah. I mean, so we've got a lot of savoury pies here. But look, going back to the subject of mince pies, there's a competition in the UK every year where each of the big department stores puts out their wares, and there's a competition to see who can have the best pie. So I absolutely love mince pies. And you know, there's something about the way you can present them dusted with icing, sugar, and all the rest of it. So for us, you know, Christmas is a big deal. But you know, I actually heard George Michael playing, I think, back in September. So I think there was, I posted something on social media. Somebody was playing Christmas songs.
Was it me?
A bit too early.
Was it me?
Well, it could well have been you. I mean, tell me, Jeff. It's been quite an interesting time over the last couple of years, and I think you and I first got together when we did an interview back for Azra News when I was asking you a little bit about the background to Blocktober. So we're kind of assuming that everybody knows us, but I kind of figured in this intro it might be useful if we gave people a bit of a background to what we've been up to and what our backstories are.
Yeah, that's fair enough. How have you been, man? Have you had a good fall season, or?
Well, I mean, I guess compared to the activity of the last couple of years, it's been a pretty good year. I mean, COVID had a big impact on our lives, and I guess this wasn't going to be a modern day podcast unless we mentioned the C word. But, this year, definitely things are being less dominated by COVID. We managed to get to a lot of conferences, which has been brilliant. So I had a surprise visit to ASRA at the beginning of the year. That was great. That was sort of April time. And then we had RUK, which was in Edinburgh, and then Ezra in Greece. And actually, at least 2 out of 3 of those occasions, I managed to meet you there, which is great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And I think one of the, undoubtedly the highlight of my year has been our family holiday to Disney World in Florida. And it may or may not be something that many of our listeners are aware of, but the Power family have a big fascination with Disney. So we've just come back from Florida and had the best time ever.
It looked like, Matt, I was following you on Instagram and social. It looked like you had an incredible time. You stayed in that park with the animals coming up to the window, and there were giraffes and zebras, and
I think we've stayed at a few hotels in that region. I mean, there's something quite magical about waking up in the morning and looking out the window and seeing these animals. And I might have had a little bit of fun on Instagram and maybe a bit of TikTok, posting some videos. But on this subject of Disney, there's a question that's literally been burning. I've been burning to ask you, and I've really got to ask you this question, Jeff. Who is your favorite Disney princess?
Okay, I did not expect that question in this podcast.
It's always nice to have a few surprises.
Yeah. Okay. Man, is Moana a princess?
Yeah, you can definitely have Moana. Yeah, you can definitely have Moana.
Yeah. Big Moana fan.
Okay. Well,
yeah. I think. How about you? I mean, did you have breakfast with the princesses while you were there?
So on this particular occasion, we neglected to have breakfast with the princesses. Unfortunately, I think they were all very disappointed. But the Power budget didn't reach to that extra $500 required to do that. So no, we didn't do that on this occasion.
What?
Wait, I can't remember how much it cost, but it certainly felt like it cost a lot of money. So no, we didn't do that on this occasion. I'm trying to work out who my favorite princess is. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Elsa from Frozen. I think when Frozen came out, my kids were at that early stage and they were really into Disney. My wife's blonde, so it kind of made sense for me to go that way.
That's not a bad answer. I mean, Elsa versus Anna, the age-old question. Hit us up on social media.
I'd love to know.
Tell us which camp you're in.
Well, now just to change tack ever so slightly, the other thing that people that may or may not have followed me on social media will know is I'm not a Star Wars geek so much, but I'm a big Star Wars fan. So I was blown away by the whole land they had in one of the Disney parks, where you basically feel like you're walking around a Disney, Star Wars. Like Batuu is this area. So who is your favorite Star Wars character?
That whole set looks amazing. I've seen some pictures. I haven't been there myself yet, but plan to at some point. Star Wars is a big part of my growing up. Like I was.
Is that right?
It was. We had all the action figures, and like the best Christmas I ever had, I got the Millennium Falcon toy for.
Wow.
And I have fond memories.
And did you have one with the light at the back, or I'm trying to remember whether that was a standard feature or that was just something that one of my friends enhanced? Did it have a light at the back of it in the toy?
Not that I recall. It had a button you could press that had the sounds. It made the laser pew pew sound kind of thing. But no, it was many an afternoon spent playing with action figures, Star Wars, when I was a kid. Han Solo. I mean, I'm a Han Solo fan. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I should have seen that coming. He's smooth. He's got the hair. Yeah, it's all about you. I got you. Like, I love you, Jeff. And Jeff says, I know. Yeah, okay. Okay, listen, we talked quite a lot about me, Jeff. Tell me about what your year's been like. What have you been up to?
Well, kind of similar. I mean, we had a great year as a family. We really made up for a lot of the lack of travel during COVID. Got over to Europe for the first time since 2020. Saw you in Greece and in Ezra. It was amazing. Managed to carve out some time for both a family trip and some time with Corey, my wife, and myself, which is that has been a really restorative thing, is to just get away, the two of us. Yeah, and then we just wrapped up Blocktober, which was a fun team event for us here at Duke Rap. And
I mean, that must have taken so much of your time. I remember sort of having regular contact with you, but it's quite the undertaking, isn't it?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, no, it's evolved into a really both a engaging and fulfilling thing for us as a regional team at here at Duke, but incredibly fun. Like it just and it's brought us closer as a group.
I mean, I think there is no doubt that what you've done is you've made, for want of, I don't want to use a cliche, but you have made regional anesthesia fun. You've made it engaging. It's all about, I'm sure we're going to cover some aspects of this in one of our later episodes, but you made the learning of regional anesthesia kind of fun. You're not advocating is saying, look, guys, watch my videos and you should be able to do everything, but you're giving all of the information that allows people to kind of hone, revise, focus their education. If they want to delve deeper, they can do. I mean, hats off to you, Jeff. I think you and the Duke Rap team have done a great job.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think maybe it's because of my own short attention span, but I think a 5 or 6 minute video seems to be kind of the sweet spot.
Undoubtedly. Now, listen, this intro is meant to give people a bit of a flavour about us. So, do you think we should tell people a little bit about where we're from, what we're about? Just so they've got an idea of why we've got such terrible senses of humour.
Peel back the onion. What is Amit Pawa? Who is Amit Pawa?
Well, it's so funny you should use that onion phrase. I do remember one of my birthday parties, we actually paid for an entertainer to come and, entertain the kids, and he called me Amit Onion. So that's given me a little bit of PTSD there, Jeff. I don't know what to say, but he did actually, everyone had nicknames, and I was called Amit Onion.
Was it a smell related thing? So I actually hadn't thought that deeply about it. Like,
but
why?
Now I am.
It seems so random. Like, why call you?
No, I think he thought it rhymed, but now I'm paranoid. Okay, so well, the thing is, there was a great podcast about somebody saying, where are you from? And actually, I could probably occupy the rest of the duration of this podcast with where I'm from, but I'll give you the short version. A lot of people won't know that actually I was born in Thailand. I was born in Bangkok in Thailand. My dad's grandfathers went out there a long time ago, and so I grew up there. And actually, I could have been Thai were it not for the fact that that we decided to come to the UK when I was sort of less than a year. So I grew up in the UK. I went to university in London. I'm a London boy. As much as I tried to kind of, at various points in my career to kind of leave London, I've got London through and through. So I grew up in London and I went to university at Guy's and St Thomas's, which, funny enough, is where I'm now working as a consultant. And during my training, I always wanted to be a cardiologist. That was where I was at. Yeah.
I can't see you as a well, maybe I can.
I don't know. Why'd you say that? I'm too good looking, or
I think so. I think you're made for Hollywood / regional anesthesia.
Well, some people always tell me that I've got a face for radio, so I'm always guessing that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely.
Well, so yes, I always wanted to do cardiology, and then somewhere along the line, I did my first accident emergency jobs at King's College in London, and I used to see all these the medical registrars, the kind of the senior trainees coming down at 2:00 in the morning saying, whatever you do, don't do medicine. And the anaesthetists, the anesthesiologists were always the cool guys. They'd come down, they'd rescue some disaster that we may have perhaps contributed to with overzealous sedation. They just look cool as. And so I decided to do anesthesia. And then during my training, I met a guy whose name you might be aware of, a chap called Rafa Blanco. He's got a name. He's associated with some regional anesthesia stuff that may have inspired what we do. And actually, I spent some time. I did a regional anesthesia fellowship at Guy's and St Thomas's. I spent some time with Rafa, and he got me into this society called LSORA, the London Society of Regional Anesthesia.
I know it well.
And you know what? Yeah, it kind of snowballed from there, right? So I became part of LSORA, then RUK, and then I was lucky enough to be voted to be the president of RUK. And now that my term as president has ended and my term as immediate past president has almost ended, I'm just a regular guy who loves dad jokes and won't dance. That's me in a nutshell.
Won't dance or shouldn't dance?
Probably both. I probably won't dance because I shouldn't dance, because when I have danced and it's been caught on camera, it was a painful experience to watch that back.
We'll save that for a treat for the listeners later on.
Maybe. Okay, so Jeff, I feel like I've kind of hijacked this. I would love to hear more about your bio.
Well, not nearly as exotic as being born in Thailand and raised in the UK. Grew up in a small town in Canada.
Do you want to give a shout out to the town, or are you going to keep that secret? To keep some of that. Yeah,
Shelburne, Ontario.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Small town. You probably wouldn't have heard of. But did medical school at Queen's University in Canada, in the town of Kingston. It's sort of halfway between Toronto and Montreal.
See, because a lot of people who won't know your backstory would have assumed that you were American, right? You must get that a lot.
I do, yeah. I it's funny. Some people say they can hear the Canadian accent coming through now and again, but yeah,
I can hear it. It's pretty good, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's get me watching some. If I get me in front of a hockey game, it'll all come out. But then did some residency training in Toronto, and then about halfway through, I decided to switch and transfer to a program in New York City at St. Luke's Roosevelt, where NYSORA was founded by Admir Hadzik and Jerry Vloka. Uh-huh. And I knew pretty early on that I was interested in regional. And
so you trained with those guys, or you trained under those guys?
Yeah. Well, Jerry and Vloka had left at that point, but Admir was there, and he became a great mentor and friend and colleague, and influenced a big part of how I approach my career and regional anesthesia. Everyone has to live in New York City once in their life. So that also played a role in me switching from Toronto to New York, and it was fun for a while. And then I finished training, and my first job was in Australia. So
what? Hold on a minute. You said that you weren't going to give us anything tropical. That's pretty tropical. That's not New York City. Wow, where did Australia come from?
So it was one of those sort of weird life things. I had this moment in my training where I thought, I want to do chronic pain medicine. And so had gone down the pathway of applying to chronic pain and had been interviewing for fellowships, but you had not yet done a chronic pain rotation as a trainee. And when I did that, I realized it was not for me. And so
pain is for people. There's some people who are very well suited to pain, right? It's a great specialty, but it just wasn't for you.
No. I have a huge admiration for people that have the skill set and personality to do that. It's an I have an incredible amount of admiration for that. I'm not built that way. So I found myself with 6 months left to go in my training, and I had withdrawn from all the fellowships. I didn't want to do chronic pain. So I had a friend who had gone to Australia to work for a bit, and she was sort of inspiring me. I thought, you know what? I don't have a car or a mortgage or a dog. Why don't we have an adventure? So we went down there, and it was wonderful. We lived on the beach. Didn't have kids yet, but made some lifelong friends, did some great work, and I still pay my ANZCA dues just
Do
in
you
case.
really?
Oh, just in case we decide to sort of pull up stakes and head back down under. So no, it was a really a formative part of my professional growth and just a great year and a half of our life.
Yeah, then you left there and you came out to New York, right?
Yeah, I decided, the one thing that was missing there was a sort of an academic career, and I began to wonder, sort of the whole sliding doors thing, or like, what if I stayed here for the rest of my life? Would I regret or miss out on that aspect of my career? And so I did come back to New York City and ended up back at St. Luke's Roosevelt with Admir and spent another 7 or 8 years there. Ended up with 4 kids.
What?
I don't know how that happened.
I've got a couple of ideas.
in a 2-bedroom apartment in Midtown Manhattan,
Wow.
which was just like 6 human beings in 1 bathroom. It was not sustainable. So we decided to look for another sort of kinder, gentler place to live, and North Carolina fit the bill. And like Duke University is just an incredible academic institution as universities go, but they have an amazing anesthesia department and had a strong and long history as a regional anesthesia powerhouse. So it was a good fit. And my great friend Stuart Grant was here at the time, and so he helped me see the light, and here I am. So we've been here ever since. We've been here about 8 years now in North Carolina.
Well, listen, I think that was more tropical than you gave it credit for. That's quite the story. So I guess people now have a little bit of an insight into where we're both coming from. I think you did a great sales pitch for Duke, and I feel I've done Guy's and St. Thomas's a disservice. So listen, Guy's and St. Thomas's is an incredible place. I'm very lucky to have some great colleagues, and maybe we might be talking about some of the names of those as we go through the next few podcasts. We've got a couple of colleagues that are Guy's and St. Thomas's who certainly contributed to a lot of the literature in regional anaesthesia, but what a great place. So it sounds like we're lucky that we both got fabulous places to live and fabulous places to work, but now let's talk about the nuts and bolts. So we should probably give people an idea behind what we hope this podcast will be, right?
Yeah, totally. What are we trying to achieve here?
Well, you know what, I think that the only regional anaesthesia podcast that I was really aware of before we came out was the As a Rap podcast, which is amazing.
Right.
And I've, and Raj Gupta and Eric Schwenk, and these guys have been putting this stuff together. I've been listening to it for the longest time. But in addition to that, which is hardcore academic, but talking about meetings and papers, I've also been listening in some of my own time to some of the kind of more fun conversational kind of podcast, and I thought it might be useful for people to hear a couple of enthusiasts about regional anesthesia kind of having a chat with each other and talking about stuff that they find interesting. We're aiming in this at those that are at the very beginning of their training, so trainees and residents, but also up to those that are more experienced practitioners, so consultants and attending, and those that have got all experience, so beginners and advanced. And you know what? We're talking about all specialties, so anaesthesia, ED, critical care, pre-hospital physicians, allied health professionals, nurses, physician assistants, this is the most inclusive podcast that we can create, and I kind of think it'd be fun for people to hear you and I talking about stuff that excites us.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I listen, the As a Rap podcast is amazing, and it's going to be hard to beat. Listeners, if you are looking for hard-hitting content with actual expert hosts and guests, go there. If you want to hear dad jokes and debates about whether to tuck in your scrub shirt or not, this is the place for you.
That is so true.
No, just kidding. We'll do some real stuff too, and it's going to be really useful to talk about aspects of regional anesthesia that you can't get from a paper or an infographic or from a talk at a conference. So hopefully, we hope, friends and listeners, we can get into some of the more practical aspects and dive a bit deeper and discuss some hot topics in our subspecialty. So we'll cover aspects like innovation and technology in regional anesthesia, what it's like in the day in the life of the Duke Rap block room or the Guy's and St. Thomas block room, or how to deliver the best awake mastectomy experience, which I know you're an expert and a fan of.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'm looking forward to involving our listeners as well, and and getting them to ask us some questions which they might pose via social media. before we talk about the next thing I was going to say, I do have to give a shout out to one of my fellows, Chris King. He's the guy that finally gave me a kick up the backside to say, like, get on and do this, because he was saying, you know what, I had some time to kill, when I was working on the weekend, and I was just thinking it would be really great if I could listen to something useful. I could fill this time with getting some education while still having some fun. He said, look, I think you guys should record a podcast and tell people the type of stuff that they can't get from papers. So absolutely. But one of the things I'm also looking forward to is maybe having some special guests. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. Special guests are going to be a lot of fun. I've already got a little short list in my head, but
okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I think a couple other topics I want to explore: regional anesthesia education in contemporary practice. How is it different now than when you and I grew up? And
Absolutely.
Are we meeting the needs of trainees? It's interesting. Like we have a bookshelf in our block area with textbooks, and every once in a while I'll like pull one out and blow off the dust. And but I mean, there's obviously tons of value there, but it's different the way they study now. How about you? What are you looking forward to?
Well, you know what? I've got a few favorite topics that I like talking about. In fact, I've just recently lectured on, and I will be again later on in the year, on blocks for trauma. Now, this is topical because many of our specialties, whether they're anesthesiologists or critical care practitioners or pre-hospital physicians, they get involved with trauma. And actually, you're talking about what are the right blocks to perform when. Are there any controversial aspects related to that, such as compartment syndrome or masking neurology? That would be cool to talk about. And then there's the thing that, it's what we call the Marmite of regional anesthesia, which is the ESP block. So I kind of figure that would be great to get into.
So wait,
what do you think about that?
I love it. I'm stuck on Marmite.
What? You don't know what Marmite is?
No, I know what Marmite. I lived in Australia. I am firmly team Vegemite.
So you guys don't have Marmite there. You have Vegemite, right? You don't have Marmite. You've got.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. He's my Aussie friend here. I'm not going to do accents. I said don't do accents, Amit. Okay, sorry. Why were you stuck on the Marmite bit?
What? I'm missing the analogy. Is it because it's so common?
Because some people love it and some people. So you haven't watched any TV in the UK. So the whole thing about Marmite is it kind of splits the audience. Some people think Marmite is amazing. It's the best thing since sliced bread, for using another analogy. And other people can't stand it. So I guess you and I both know of some people that love the ESP block and some other people that maybe not so much. So I think it'd be useful to kind of get into that.
Perfect. Love it.
And also, the thing that I'm a real sucker for gadgets, so I love gadgets and technology. And I reckon you probably got your hands on some useful pieces of kit. I'm certainly been lucky to use some technology. So I think those are the things that kind of excite me. But you know what, Jeff? There's something the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. Can you guess what that is?
Is it Disney princesses?
No.
Oh.
Jeff, it's getting to know you a bit better. I think that would be amazing during the course of this podcast. I think I'm going to get to know you a bit better.
Oh, man, you're so sweet. Yeah, no, I say same. I think that this is going to be the most fun part of this whole thing.
Yeah. Now, I do have one other serious question that I've got to ask you.
Oh, serious question time.
Okay. So, of all the videos, when I've been watching your videos in Blocktober, a lot of the videos are adorned with these most incredible sound effects. So I want to know, of all of the sound, you're unzipping, you're popping, and I can't even do them because I'm not puckered up, I'm not ready. But of all the sound effects that you did, what is your favorite sound effect?
Oh, man.
And if you can do a live demo, I'm putting you on the pressure. Jeff was not prepared for this, guys.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just, I think it is. I think it's the sound that the pleura makes when it goes down. The sound.
Oh, that was good. Let's do that one more time without me laughing, so everyone can hear it purely. Okay, I'm ready. 3, 2, 1.
So I cannot help but say that each and every time my trainees do a paravertebral. It's just I can't help myself.
Do you know what? Maybe that's going to be a thing. Maybe people will start doing that all over the world.
How good would that be?
Well, we've done it. We've done a lot of chat now. So, do you think we've excited people enough? Do you think people are going to be excited to want to listen and tune in? I hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I think we got a lot of good material that we've lined up, folks, and I think so tune in and stay with us over the next few episodes and see how we do.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I think we're probably supposed to wrap up now. I'm sure it's customary to say something at the end of a podcast. Are we supposed to end with a song or a joke or something? Is that the rules?
Maybe eventually a song or a joke. I think let's keep it a little professional for starters.
Okay. I think we're supposed to say something like and subscribe to our podcast from your usual podcast provider.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
That's good. I like that. Yeah. So what do we have? We have Twitter?
Yeah,
Twitter.
So we got to tell that what have we got? Our Twitter is @blockit_hot_pod. What else have we got?
Hot Pod. Okay, that's
yeah.
Block it Hot Pod.
Hot Pod. Block it Hot Pod with an underscore in between.
Okay, great.
Believe it or not, Block It Like It's Hot had gone.
Don't follow those guys.
Okay,
we're on YouTube @Block It Like It's Hot.
Absolutely, that was the most straightforward one to get. And we're also on Insta. And when in our promo video, I got this wrong. So at Insta, we're at block_it_like_it's_hot. Block It Like It's Hot with underscores in between each word. And then we want them to get involved on Twitter. I hope Twitter's still going to be here when the podcast gets out. I really do.
I think it will be. I think it will be.
And we've got a hashtag, which is not surprisingly Block It Like It's Hot. So tweet, send us messages on all those media, and follow us from your regular podcast provider. And Jeff, what do we need to say until the next episode? We hope they all
block it like it's hot.
Until next time, guys. See you.
See you next time.